Hello and welcome back to the Hormone Hacker Revolution, where we are educating, empowering, and inspiring you to balance your chemistry for more energy, less fat, improved moods, better sex, and to really enhance your overall quality of life, because that is really what it's all about. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Sands, and throughout this event, I promise to bring you the best and brightest experts from around the world, and we're going to be giving you some great tools and resources to really start hacking your hormones so you can live your best life. Today, I am so excited because I have an amazing woman here to interview. I'm going to introduce you to a doctor of sexology. Yes, that's right. I said sexology. She is amazing, but she's so much more than just that. Dr. Keesha has been in the medical field for over 30 years. She is an integrative medicine expert. She's a psychotherapist, and she's also the founder of an integrative medicine health coach certification program where she teaches other people, women just like you, how to really take your health into your own hands and help others do the same. Dr. Keesha has overcome her own battle with autoimmunity. She was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which in the conventional medicine world is really deemed uncurable. So she had a big battle to face, and she was able to overcome this, and then she actually developed the Freedom Framework method, which helps people all over the world overcome all sorts of autoimmune diseases, and everything from Hashimoto's to lupus to rheumatoid arthritis and more. Dr. Keesha also developed a really unique model for understanding how your past childhood experiences can affect your adult health. And this means like things that happen to you as early as being a little child, how that can affect your hormones, your digestion, your overall health, and your sex life. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how you can be impacted by things that happened in your past, and then also some things you can do about it. So Dr. Keesha, welcome to the Hormone Hacker Revolution.
I'm so happy to be here, Dr. Michelle. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you are so welcome. So your bio just goes on and on with all these accolades, and you do so much. But what I want to really know about you is a little bit about what got you so interested in women's health, in health in general, and then ultimately, what's the sexology and what got you interested specifically in hormones and sex drive?
So the alphabet soup behind my name is because every time a patient would come into my office and stump the chump, I would go back and get more education. And so I was having all of these women come into my office and say, Dr. Keesha, you prescribe bioidentical hormones for my friend, my sister, my mother, and they said their life was revolutionized. I want some of that. And then I would ask really simple questions like, so why do you think you need hormones? And, you know, my libido's gone to Tahiti and left me behind. And I would say, follow it up with, so when's the last time you had a libido you were happy with? And I would get tears often, too often, you know, of, oh, I've never had a libido. My sex life has always sucked. And, you know, or my husband had an affair 5 years ago and I have forgiven him, but I haven't had any desire since. You know, and all of these things, progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone are not going to fix. And so that's what I would have to say. And, I started seeing so often that whatever was going on in the head was reflected in the bed. And so I went back to school because as I started looking in the medical literature, there was nothing to support what I was seeing in my office. And, I did my own study called the HURT study when I went to get my doctorate in sexology, and it's healing unresolved trauma, because that's what I was finding is a lot of women have held on to hurt. So the HURT model is talking about how held on to hurt actually impacts our health and adulthood, but also our sexual desire, which is a reflection of our overall health and our desire for life, not just for sex. So this is why I chose sexology, is because it really is the study of the dynamic of human relationships. And so many times women have divorced themselves from their bodies. They eat for emotional reasons, they're caregiving everyone else and not themselves. And, it's just kind of like here up is being dealt with and nothing here down. And, vaginismus, vulvodynia, not feeling anything. So I really thought, some research needs to be done in this area. Because you know as well as I do, every medical conference we go to, it doesn't matter if it's on fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, or diabetes, type 1, 2, or 3, off to the side, you know, if the disease is in the middle on the PowerPoint slide, low libido will be over here. It's a side effect of every drug. It's a comorbidity, you know, the way we call it for every disease. And I started thinking about that and thinking, you know what? This is the creative energy. This is what Eastern philosophy calls Shakti. It's what innervates everything. And this is feminine in nature, and females, you know, across the globe are having trouble with it because we're trying to bring home the bacon fried up in a pan and look hot at the same time, and we're just running out. And so I thought it needs to be dealt with as its own subject. So that's what I set out to do.
Wow, that is actually amazing. And it's so true. You know, it's like women are trying to do so many things, and a lot of times we are. I get a lot of requests for bioidentical hormones. Just they give me the thing to cover up whatever's going on and make it.
And they're not bad. You know, I mean, I'm not saying some women, you know, Dr. Keesha, I had great libido. Now, when I have sexual intercourse, it feels like I have cut glass in my vagina. Yes, you need some hormone replacement, right. You know, and so, exactly. You know, there are those times when bioidentical hormones are absolutely appropriate, but it's when the Kleenex box comes out and we're talking about hurt and pain and things that are emotional, mental, and spiritual in nature that we then have trouble. Or when there's never been libido because of trauma in the background. And so that's where I started saying, you know what, there's only about 1/10 of my patients where it's just a cut and dry bioidentical hormone replacement, fix the adrenals, get the thyroid back online, and we're good to go. But there's that root problem of why are those adrenals flattened out in the first place? And, you know, when did this fight or flight system really get activated? Was it when they were, in my case, 10 years old? You know, and so that's a really long time of being in sympathetic nervous system overload, and it makes us sick. And like I said, that wasn't being shown anywhere when it came to female sexual desire. So anyway.
Did you find that most people are able to remember what that trauma was, or do you find that a lot of times it's suppressed?
Yeah, so I find that I'm able to really see when somebody has had this in their past. I am an Ayurvedic expert also, and we go into the pulse and we do pulse diagnosis, and I get pictures in my head. Now I don't even have to touch someone's arm. I can see it. And I'll say something to them. It looks like maybe you had an abortion when you were 18. And I'll just have women look at me and start crying and say, nobody knows that, you know, and there's an intuition that happens when we work with people for a long time. I've been doing this over 30 years. And, you know, when you tune into somebody's energy field, oftentimes you ask the correct questions, right? And so when I ask the right questions and make it safe for them, then, you know, it's not suppressed so much as forgotten about. I've already dealt with that in therapy. That was a long time ago, whatever it is. But then they're in front of me and I'm just diagnosing them with Hashimoto's thyroiditis that they didn't know that their hypothyroidism that they were diagnosed with when they were 20 was actually autoimmune, you know, and so we start that discussion of, okay, everybody with autoimmune disease has some form of past stressor. And this is something that's not being said very often. And that's what I'm trying to help people understand is these past stressors are impacting all aspects of our health, and they need to be talked about because the beliefs we create when we're children in those moments are carried forward into adulthood. It's not that you have to go back and relive all that stuff. You know, it's really just about finding what the belief was that you created. You know, if you come forward into adulthood and you're now, like I'm 52, if I get my little button pushed that says I'm not safe, because when I was 10, I didn't think the world was very safe. My vice principal of my elementary school was sexually abusing me. Of course I didn't feel safe. Yeah. But at 52, I am safe. And at 30, when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, I was safe. And so I have to reframe that. And so that's what I'm doing with women. I'm really particularly working with women that have these beliefs to help them reframe them so they can reclaim that lost part of themselves, the part that does make them powerful. I call it going from victim to vital, right? So having vitality.
That's really amazing. So let's talk about the study, the famous ACEs study, the Adverse Childhood Experiences study, and how that fits into what you're doing.
So this was really interesting because actually I'd never heard of this study when I went back to school because they didn't talk about it from a sexual desire component, right? It was more about cancer and heart disease and autoimmune disease. And so when I discovered it, I said, oh my gosh, yes, this is exactly what the hurt model that I put together said, is that your hypertension can actually be tied to these past hurts. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and Kaiser Permanente conducted a very large-scale study between 1995 and 1997. And the history of the study is very interesting. Kaiser had this really great weight loss program that was successfully helping women in their clinic lose weight, women and men. And what was happening is they were starting to see that a lot of women were dropping out of it before they had completed it, gotten to their goal weight, and then done the lifestyle transformation pieces that they could then stay successfully at their good body weight. So they started interviewing these women that were dropping out, and they found that they had all had sexual abuse in their history. So they said, oh, this requires a deeper study. So they partnered with the CDC and did this over 17,000 participant study. And what came out of it is they were looking at 10 different areas of what you could call adverse childhood experiences. They're a form of neglect, some kind of neglect. And it can be parents got divorced, parent is addicted to a drug or alcohol, incarcerated. You have sexual abuse, domestic violence, any of the other kinds of abuse. And all of these things were, a survey. And so the participants in this study, over 2/3 of them reported an ACE score of at least one of those events, which was fairly amazing to, this is kind of the first time Western science was seeing this correlation. And since then, that study has been taken and used as a foundational platform for more studies. And what we have found now is that anyone with an ACE score of 2 or more, like me, has an 80% higher risk of developing an autoimmune disease in adulthood, cancer, heart disease, sexual promiscuity, calling in sick to work, being sick frequently, drug use, all of these things, obesity, and then also self-neglect, caring for other people and not taking care of yourself, self-sabotage, which is exactly what these women were doing that were dropping out of this program when they were successfully losing weight. They self-sabotaged. So the good news about all this, I wrote a book about this. It's called Solving the Autoimmune Puzzle. And, what I say is, okay, here's the ACE quiz. Take it. See what is your score? And then don't freak out about it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, exactly. So you have an ACE score of 6. Okay, so yes, the research says that with an ACE score of 6, you have a high likelihood of living 20 years less than someone with an ACE score of 0. 20 years. But that doesn't mean that that's true for you if you start reframing your beliefs, right? That's the thing is exactly. I would never write about anything that's set in stone, right? Yeah, we even know your DNA is not set in stone. This is certainly not set in stone. Exactly. And so that's the cool thing is first you have to identify that, yes, this happened, but now it's not about blaming your parents. It's not about blaming your perpetrator. It's not blame and shame and victimization. It's okay. Now let's move from that place where you were powerless as a child. Absolutely. Every child is powerless. We're told when to brush our teeth, what to wear, what to eat, where to go. We don't have power. But when we're adults, we are self-autonomous, right? And so now you can reframe all of that and you can affect your health by doing so. That's the coolest thing.
Yeah, that's the good part. Because I know when you're talking, there's probably a bunch of people listening.
Yeah.
Okay, my parents fought, they got divorced.
Right.
And then I go, no, I'm doomed. Right. But yeah, it's really, about how you frame it when you think about it. Like, you don't have to erase the memory. I don't think it's all about erasing the memory, or like you said, blaming.
Right.
There is some forgiveness that I do believe has to happen. But
I have a whole program for that. And too often what will happen, and I find that this is true for Christianity, right? And any other religion, Judaism, Islam, where we're told we must forgive, turn the other cheek, forgive. The Chinese say, don't forgive, and you dig 2 graves instead of 1. Buddha talks about, not forgiving is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. We all know that forgiveness is really important, but what happens is people say, I have forgiven, and they've moved from here and bypassed all the steps and just thought, okay, if I think I've forgiven them, I've forgiven them. And that is not the way it goes. Right. And so I've got a whole process that takes you through step by step, layer by layer, to get to that place where you have forgiven, when you can bow your head to the person that hurt you, the person that has hurt you the very most in your whole life, and say, thank you for being my teacher. And that does not happen with a thought or overnight. You have to process that properly. And so your body won't believe it, if you haven't taken your body along with you on the journey. And that's really important.
Yeah, so I know it sounds like it could be a painful process, but I'm trying to come from a space of someone who might be listening who has this pain, this baggage they know that they're carrying around, or even maybe they don't realize it, that they're experiencing these symptoms that you're talking about. How do you make the process less painful or less, because you don't want to have to relive all
right.
Grief.
And you don't have to. So my book, Solving the Autoimmune Puzzle, The Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Emotional Freedom and Vibrant Health, is the long title of it. That takes you through step by step by step. And then I have an online program called You Unbroken. And that takes you further into it, step by step by step. And I have all kinds of, if you can't pass this little place, then here's how to find the right therapist, or you can work with me. And it just takes you, it holds your hand, and I'm right there with you. And we have a private community, and people ask me questions, and we support each other. It's really fantastic program. And I actually think every human should take it, because who among us has not had early childhood stress? You trip in front of the cute boy or cute girl in the lunchroom. You start your period in front of the whole class in 6th grade, right? You can't make it to the top of the rope in the presidential challenge. I mean, all of these things. You fail your first test. You have a group of 3 girlfriends out on the playground one day, and the next day they're all backbiting and they've rejected you. These are all traumatic experiences for a child. Yeah. And our brains aren't fully developed, this prefrontal cortex, until we're 26 years old. So we make shit up when we're little kids, right? We're supposed to be self-centered. That's our human growth and developmental state. We're trying to figure out how to be human in the human species, and we don't always have a really great, grounded, wise mentor with us with every single event that happens. And that's just to all the parents out there. Your kids will come out of childhood with some messed up beliefs, because you can't be everywhere all at once with them, navigating what's going on in their minds. This is part of the human condition. And so, I told my kids when I figured this out, my job is not to make you happy. It's to give you the tools so that when the inevitable unhappiness comes, that you will know how to navigate it. I realized that, about midway through parenting, that, I'm not supposed to wrap them in magic cocoon and protect them from all pain, right? The way I thought I was trying to do. I'm supposed to give them the tools to be able to navigate life, which is inevitably going to be fraught with challenges and pain and suffering and joy and love and contentment, right? So it's the whole enchilada.
But I think I'm still in the magic cocoon stage of paxing.
I know.
I'm fighting it. I'm trying to hold on to the magic cocoon. But that's so true. I think all the moms can totally relate.
I have 4 kids. I know. I spun a lot of magic. And then I started realizing, I've got to make sure they know how to deal with that life out there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for somebody listening who is struggling with low sex drive, they are dealing with some other health issues, and they think it could be related to their childhood experiences, what would be a first step, something they might be able to start doing right now?
So one of the things that I tell people is to watch your language. And, I don't mean shit, damn, and hell. I'm talking about your language with yourself and the language that you're using when you think about sex and the language that you're using when you think about any challenge in life. Is it too hard? Am I overwhelmed? Do I not have enough time? I hear these things all the time in my office, or am I not good enough? Or are you in a victim space, right? And if you are, and the word overwhelm is the one I hear the most. I hear it so often. I know you do too. When a woman starts crying across the desk for me, if I ask her to do a simple self-care activity and she says, you have no idea, I don't have time for that, then I say, I do have an idea and I know that you must, and your life depends on it, make the time, right? And so that's the thing is, what is your language? What are the words you're using? Because whatever's in your head goes to your bed. I just can't say that enough. Secondly, we have this myth in our culture that we don't engage sexually with our partners unless we're in the mood, right? And studies show, and this is one particular study, that 69% of women who have been in a committed relationship of one year or more no longer have spontaneous sexual desire. I'm going to repeat that. Really? 69% of women, that is more than half. That makes it abnormal to have spontaneous sexual desire and to be in the mood. So that means it's more like Nike says, just do it. So, Masters and Johnson did this revolutionary, pivotal research in the 1950s and 1960s about the sexual arousal and desire cycle. And what they did is they said, okay, we have desire first, arousal follows, ejaculation or orgasm is third, and then there's a refractory rest period. And that's very linear. This is how it goes, right? Well, actually, we have found that that's not accurate for women. Sometimes that is, but we're more circular. And so we can actually say in our minds, okay, I like this person. I even love them. I think I had fun doing this at one point in our relationship. So I'm willing to go into it and get into some physical intimacy with this partner of mine and willing to be aroused first, and desire can follow. That is so essential that you're just willing to go into it, right? Without being in the mood. So you take yourself to the gym, and often I don't feel like exercising when I wake up in the morning. I am not in the mood. I live in Seattle. It's 5:30 in the morning, dumping down rain and dark, and I often don't want to get outside and go running, but I get myself up and I go because I know it's good for me. And so this is the same with sex. You have to take your vagina to the gym, ladies. It is a muscle. And if you don't, when you get older with those vaginal births, every time you sneeze or jump on the trampoline with one of your kids or you jump up and down, you're going to lose urine, and that's not going to be sexy. And so you're going to just hate it. But if you have sex and you're squeezing around something, right, and it's not just a Kegel exercise, this is the thing I tell people. If you go like this over and over and over again, your bicep muscle does not get bigger. Mm-hmm. You have to put a weight in your hand. So what do you think is happening with nature here, right? You put something in your vagina. It doesn't necessarily need to be a male penis, but it needs to be something with weight attached to it, like a Kegel Master or Jade Benoit balls, and you've got to squeeze around that. Your vagina needs to be worked out, just like your biceps and your abs. And so if you can think about it that way, and then think about the oxytocin that's released and how good that is for you, and your dopamine, and then eventually serotonin after an orgasm, and how good that is for your relationship, then you're more willing, right, to have sex. So I have sex every day. That makes it super simple. I don't have to think about if I'm in the mood or not. I just know it's happening. It's like going to the gym, right? It's like eating good breakfast. I know I'm juicing vegetables every morning. So I don't have to think about it. I don't have to complain about it. I don't have to think, oh, I'm not in the mood or I don't have any energy. I just do it.
No, I can totally relate to that whole situation. I totally, just coming from full disclosure, I'm not always in the mood, but I love my husband. And so
right.
Well, let's just do this for him. But then that arousal starts happening and I'm enjoying it then. And then it's a great experience for both of us. So right. I totally relate to what you're saying. I didn't know that there was studies to back it up, but yeah, for sure. And so I think, and it's just like if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So,
exactly right. For men too. So my husband's 65. He's 13 years older than I am, and he has no erectile dysfunction. He would just love that I'm talking about this, and is on no medication, right? And that's very abnormal for his age, but it's because he uses it every day.
Exactly.
So you got to work it out.
It's healthy physically, it's healthy emotionally, it's healthy spiritually. This has been so amazing. I feel like I could just talk to you all. I feel like I'm getting a little personal therapy session here, by the way. So, Keesha, you've been so wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about your free gift and how people can get in touch with you? Because I know that this conversation is really going to be sparking a lot of interest.
Well, one of the things that I really like people to do is to take the ACE quiz. And just, see what that means, this adverse childhood experiences piece. And then we follow it up with, here's a free audio for creating a calm, safe place within you. And it comes with a worksheet. And with that, you get to start that process of, oh, this is how my body feels when I feel anxious. Because this is what happens physiologically, is you get a feeling in your body before you get the thought in your brain. So when you feel anxious, your body responds by contracting, your gut. Because of course, if a zebra is being chased by a lion and the zebra thinks it's about to get eaten for dinner, it knows it's not safe to stop and have sex. And it knows it's not safe to reproduce. So it knows it's not safe to stop and have a bowel movement and to go to the bathroom, to urinate. So all of those functions of the body get turned way down. So what's really important then is that you discover what turns those down for you. So that's what the ACE quiz is really for, is to kind of get that process going. What does trigger you? What gets in your head and gets messed up in your bed? And so we're taking you through that process so that your body can move into a parasympathetic nervous system response. Instead of fight or flight, it's life support. And then your body is on board with having regular bowel movements and having sex, having that desire. So that's our gift.
That's amazing. That is so generous. And one other thing I wanted to ask you about, is I know that some of my listeners are going to be interested in this as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your Libido Cure program?
Yeah, so the Libido Cure, we call it TLC now because whatever we email about it, all of the search engines throw it out because it has the word libido, so it's TLC. The Libido Cure program is a 7-module online program with a private Facebook community. And, there are 7 root causes to low libido. And the Freedom Framework that I designed several years ago for curing autoimmune disease and bringing libido back online, it's the same root causes. It's in your story. It's in your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical being. And it's helping you become your own medical detective so that you can suss that out. And then it goes through, in every partnership, there's a high desire partner for sex and a low desire partner. There's hardly ever anyone that wants to bake cookies at the same time or go for a bike ride at the same time or spend the money in the family in the same way. And so sex is the same. So I point that out and show you how to have those really hard conversations. And it just goes through every aspect of this. It's really quite a remarkable program. So that's online. And it's drkeesha.com, drkeesha.com.
Perfect. We'll put all the links below, you guys. And so this has been absolutely amazing. I absolutely love hearing you speak. You're full of so much information, and you're going to make the world a better place. People are going to be happier because they're having more sex. There's going to be no crime, no violence. Dr. Keesha rules the world. So,
well, you guys are doing the hard work. I'll just guide you.
no pun intended. So the homework for everybody is to go find your partner, have some sex, and have a great night. So thank you, Dr. Keesha. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
I can totally relate. I know there's so many people out there that might just be wondering like what's wrong with them or why they can't be normal or get things done or have that relationship that they've always wanted. And this really gives a lot of framework and a lot of tools for them to make that change and really live their best life. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Michelle.
Thank you. So don't forget to download Keesha's free gift. Check out her website, also her podcast. All the links are below. And thank you so much for being here today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and found it as valuable as I did. We'll be back here tomorrow with another great expert. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.